So, Jeff, whenever I take your name or your personality, whenever we talk about anything related to you, the person who don't know you in person, so there's just one thing that comes in our mind is Time Warp, the show that you were the part of, and like the person started you guys have started a new revolution, like showing things in slow motion on a TV show. That
Mhm.
wasn't a regular thing, and wasn't like in 2010s there was no smartphones and smart and nobody would have like a personal camera to shot those slow motion pictures. So how the idea came and how you added to that idea. So what was your role and how Time Warp happened to you?
Yeah, so I was in the middle of grad school, and I guess a lot of people don't know, I was at MIT, and MIT is the place where slow motion technology was invented, originally in the 40s by a guy named Doc Edgerton. And a lot of people have seen the famous photographs of like a bullet going through an apple or a bullet cutting a playing card in half. And that was all this guy, Doc Edgerton, who developed all this technology. It's almost been 100 years now. And his original lab is still there. So when you take this grad class, I forget what it's called, like technical imaging or something like that, a strobe lab, they call it. And if you take that class, you actually do the research in his original lab. So there's all this old equipment. It's really got that nice, like, feeling of how you'd make a TV set of an old scientist laboratory. Um, so I learned all that stuff, and I was just going in there in my free time, shooting high-speed photography or videography. And as you said, at the time, we didn't have little slow motion cameras in our pockets. It was a very rare thing to have access to these tools. But I had already been a photographer, and so I was spending a lot of time just building my own work there, you know. And a production company that had already done other shows with Discovery Channel, they had the idea of, hey, let's put together a show about all this technology, all the realms that you can't see with your own eyes. And so pretty naturally, they called MIT to try to get some advice on how to go about it and who should be on it. And, what they needed was a kind of a somewhat rare mix of a person who was a scientist who could talk about the science of what was going on, but then at the same time was an artist, was a photographer who could shoot the imagery, and of course I shot it with Matt and a lot of other people, but um, that's somewhat rare. It's getting less and less rare, I'm glad to say. But when they called MIT, those people knew me. I'm working with them every week. So they just referred them to me, and I remember exactly where I was. I was just working one day in my grad school research, and phone call just came in, and they said, "Do you want to host a show about slow motion technology?" And it seemed up my alley, so it was a pretty easy choice.